had my 1 week follow-up after I had the silicone put around my neuromodulators, and my urologist said to give it about a month and then let him know how everything is going, because he sort of had a bit of a prediction that I might need more silicone put into me. And this was just because the whole thing was such an experiment that he really wasn't sure how much I would need. Everything was going pretty good until about 3 weeks after the procedure, when just every now and then I could feel the wires starting to poke through my skin again. And it did hurt, and it hurt enough for me to start thinking, yes, I think I do need a little bit more silicone put around these neuromodulators. I called my urologist, and as soon as he knew it was me on the phone, the first thing he said was, "You need more, don't you?" And I said, "Yep, I sure do." And then I explained to him what had happened, and he says, "Yes, I do think that we need to add a little bit more into you." He said that he'll order more of the silicone gel, and then we'll see how we go from there. I asked him how long it would be until he got some, and he said, "Well, while we've been speaking, I've already ordered it for you. So as soon as it's here, I will give you a call and we will get you booked in." 3 weeks later, I was booked in for my second procedure. My urologist stressed again that he really hoped that this second lot of silicone helped, because he really didn't want to have to remove everything and the wires and everything that was in my body, because it would just be such a massive job and a massive operation to be able to do that. And I was still very happy to give this another go, because I really don't want to have to go through removing everything if I don't have to. And hopefully I can just keep everything in place until my neuromodulators do need to be removed, because the batteries have completely died in them. And usually the batteries last for about 7 to 10 years. So I've had mine in my body for 4 years. So hopefully I'll get at least another 3 years out of them. I was also very curious to find out exactly what it was that he was putting inside me, and he told me it was a product called Barry Gel. Just waiting to go in for my surgery. A little bit nervous, but that's what I am all the time. So here goes. And one thing I do like about this hospital, because it's a little bit fancy, is you get a pretty little bag to put all of your stuff in, instead of those plastic drawstring bags that look like garbage bags that you get at most other hospitals. See you on the flip side. Well, I have finally just returned from the hospital, and it was a big day. I was there for 7 hours this time, whereas last time I was only there for 4. So I think things were a little bit bigger this time, and there was also some delay with the anaesthetic as well. But all in all, I've come out of it okay, and I don't actually feel too bad in myself. Not like last time, where I felt like absolute trash for many hours after the procedure. So after I was all checked in and then getting ready to go into the operating theatre, my urologist came and saw me, and he asked me to point out exactly what parts of the neuromodulators and the wires are giving me grief and giving me pain and trying to stick out through my skin. So I pointed to exactly the spots that were giving me grief, and he said, okay, we'll just target those and see how we go from there. So I thought, okay, that's a pretty good plan. I don't think I needed it absolutely everywhere like I did last time. It's just in some specific spots. When I was waiting for the anesthetic lady to come and see me, I just got this big wave of nervousness, and my phobia of needles really kicked in, and then I started shaking, and then I couldn't lie on my back because that would make me shake even more. So then I turned onto my side and basically curled up like a baby with a blanket completely wrapped around me so nobody could touch me. And when the lady came in to see me, she goes, oh, you're wrapped up just like a little baby. And I went, yes, I know, that was the plan. Anyway, I explained to her what happened last time with how I did not cope with the anesthetic very well at all. And I told her how the anesthetic, when it goes into me, it hurts me, and that I just am not recovering like I used to anymore. And I thought, oh, she seems kind of nice, so I'll push my luck and see if I can get away with not having to have a needle while I'm awake. And I asked her if I can go to sleep by the gas. And she was like, yeah, sure. I'm like, oh, okay, thanks, excellent. So that sort of calmed me down probably about 90% as soon as I heard that she had agreed to put me to sleep with the gas. And then I thought, can I double push my luck with her? And I asked her if it would be possible for me to have the absolute minimal amount of anesthetic possible so that I can get through this procedure and obviously be asleep and not feel anything, but just be so just under, it's ridiculous. And she said, oh, yeah, I can do that. I'll have to change the complete setup that I've got sitting there ready waiting for you, and I'll have to put some probes onto your head so I can measure your brain waves to make sure that you are actually deep enough under. But yes, I can do that for you. And I was like, oh my goodness, someone who's listened to me and has really helped me in this time of, I don't even know what it was, just disgusting feeling that, oh, it was just horrible. So because she had to reset up the entire anesthetic setup that she had ready, that did delay the surgery a little bit, but it was pretty good. Once I went in there, I really wasn't on the table for that long. And she said to me, do you want me to give you the gas quick or slow? And I said, oh, I don't really care. And then she just put the mask on me, and that was the end of that. And then when I woke up an hour later, she had the cannula, she'd put that into my hand, just there. And I couldn't even feel it, which is, I always feel cannulas. Every single move that I do, they hurt me. And this one, no, nothing. So I was like, oh, that's pretty good. I'm having a pretty good run so far. And then when I was properly awake, I felt nothing. I wasn't sick, I wasn't drowsy, I wasn't cuckoo, I wasn't anything. I was just completely normal and having a good old chat to the nurse who was looking after me. So I don't know what concoction or whatever it was that this anesthetic lady did to me, but it was certainly really good, and I definitely didn't feel anything. So she did everything right, but I can't believe how good it was.
I can't believe how well I've woken up this time. Does that change in anaesthetic has made such a difference.
When I first woke up, they asked me if I was in any pain, and I said, yes, I am. It's really hurting a lot. And they said that the doctor had prescribed 2 medications for me. So one was just a normal Panadol, and then the other one was a full-on narcotic. And there was nothing in between. And I'm like, well, I really don't want the narcotic because I think that's a bit too hardcore and I probably don't need it. And I think it'll just knock me out and put me to sleep. And because I'm so awake and so with it at the moment, I don't want that to stop. So we decided just to go with the Panadol, but she was able to give it to me through a drip directly into my vein, which gives it a bit more up and go. So once she did that and that went through, it was only within a few minutes that my pain had probably decreased by half. So I was happy with that, and I could just put up with whatever niggling pain was sort of hanging around. After I'd been awake for a few minutes, of course, me being me, I had to ask the nurse, can I go home now? And she's like, no, they won't let you home until you have something to eat and drink. I'm like, okay, well, I'd like a latte with soy milk and 2 sugars and a sandwich, please. And she would just kind of laughed and said, sorry, they only have Moccona here. I'm like, oh, okay, if I must. I said, can I have it now? And she's like, oh, you've got to go into the other room to have it, but there is a little bit of a backlog in there at the moment, so it will be a few more minutes. And I'm like, can't I just stay here? Can't you just bring it to me here? And she's like, no, I don't think that they'll let me. So I'm like, okay. But as we were talking, and at this stage I was still in a hospital bed, and usually they go and move you onto these hard recliner chairs, which are just, oh, I hate those things. But I'd somehow managed to get myself in a position, I was sort of half sitting up, and I was just really comfortable and nothing, I wasn't hurting too bad, like I was, but it wasn't that bad. And they decided that because I was comfortable, then they were just going to leave me there for as long as possible and only move me to the hard chairs sort of for the last few minutes while I was waiting for someone to come and escape me out of the hospital. So I thought that that was very nice of them.
What a nice little feast I got in recovery. Never had one like this before. There's even TV for me to watch. Pretty special. Just waiting for the last bit of massage before I can go home. And they were so nice, and they allowed me to stay in the bed in the recovery room until I got to this spot, so I didn't have to sit in the hard chairs waiting for my pickup. So I was very grateful for that, and I found the perfect position, so nothing was even hurting while I was having my recovery.
I know that I have a history of whenever I have anaesthetic that my bladder decides to go into retention, and I know that generally if you have bladder retention, then the hospital won't let you leave until you pee. So because I was so aware of this, I thought, right, this time I'm not even going to try and go to the toilet before I leave here. If I have to go, I'm just going to hold on, because if I go and they see me going back and forth to the toilet a couple of times because I can't go, then they'll really start monitoring me and will not let me leave until something happens. So I thought, if I don't ever go anywhere near the toilet, then they won't be suspicious that they need to be keeping an extra eye on me. And that way I should be able to get out of there a bit quicker. So my plan worked. I did not go anywhere near the toilet. Nobody asked me anything about my bladder or if I'd peed yet. I did not bring it up to anybody, and pretty much as soon as I went out of the hospital, I went to the toilet and all was good, which for me is, that's just a miracle, because that never happens. So I don't know if it was this different anesthetic method that the doctor used on me or what, but yeah, I certainly did not get retention this time, and that made me very happy. So I'm just back at my hotel room now for the rest of what's left of the afternoon and for this evening, I definitely will not be going out anywhere because it does hurt to walk a lot, and there are only certain positions that I can sit in where I don't get pain. So it'll definitely be a rest day for the rest of what is today, and then hopefully tomorrow things will keep on going on the up and up, and I'll start healing and I will start to feel much more mobile and without as much pain day by day. I've also gone and had a look at what damage has been done to the top of my bottom where my neuromodulators are, and from what I can see, there is not as many holes as I had last time caused by the injection sites. Last time I had 20 small holes sort of all over the top part of my bottom. This time I haven't counted them yet, but there definitely is less, but I can see that they are much bigger, maybe 3 or 4 times bigger than what they were last time. So I think that he really has targeted certain areas instead of just going everywhere to see what happens, because where the larger holes are, they really are in specific spots, and you can see that they are very, very close to where you can see the neuromodulator sticking out of my skin. So yes, a targeted approach was the method this time, and hopefully there is great success. And now that I have so much of this berry gel in my system, I now have to carry around a little card which is basically a medical device identification card with the berry gel information on it, because, and you might be able to see on the back of the card, it's got an example of what the berry gel will look like on x-rays or MRIs or CT scans. So if I ever get them done and someone says, oh, what's that? That looks weird, then I'll be able to show them this, and then they'll be able to compare to make sure that that is what they are looking at and there's not something else. So I now have that, and then I also have my 2 neuromodulator cards that I have to carry around with me everywhere I go, and again that's for if I go through security or x-rays or MRIs or CT scans. But saying that, I can't actually go through MRIs with my implants because the wires aren't compatible with an MRI, and basically I would blow it up and cost a hospital about $1 million. So they won't let me anywhere near a MRI machine, which really I don't blame them. So it's the day after my surgery, and the night was a little bit rough last night, but I guess that was to be expected. But that was mainly because once I'm lying down, I find it very hard to be able to roll over, because I don't want to lie directly on my back because everything hurts a lot when I do that. So I have to be very, very careful and kind of gingerly move very slowly to be able to move when I'm lying down. But I know that this will pass. So overnight was a little bit rough, but I think that was mainly because I find it very hard to be able to turn while I'm lying down, because if I want to turn from one side to the other to be able to get comfortable, I have to go onto my back first, and that's the bit that hurts, because any pressure that I put on my bottom at all causes a lot of pain. So I sort of gingerly have to try and roll myself over and cause as little pain and discomfort as possible. But apart from that, it is manageable. I do have a little bit of trouble with walking properly. I feel like I'm kind of limping because one side of me is sorer than the other, And driving, that hurts as well at the moment, so I'm limiting that to the absolute bare minimal driving that I need to do. And if I bend over to get something, then I have a bit of a hard time standing up straight again. And I'm sure I look like a bit of a granny when I'm doing all of these things. But that's all right, I will come back to my normal self soon. As the morning went on this morning and I decided that I should go up to the shops because I needed to get a few things, I thought I was really quite energetic and was quite proud of myself for how well I was doing. And then about 45 minutes to an hour into my little expedition that I went on, my body just said to me, "You're funny," as if you were going to be able to do this, and pretty much slammed a wave of tiredness and exhaustion on me. So I had to stop what I was doing and come back to my motel room and pretty much just have a bit of a lie down and a rest for the rest of the afternoon because I was just completely wiped out. That's about all of the updates that I have for you for now. There's really not much happening because I can't really do much and I'm just waiting for all of this to pass. So I will just have to wait, see how things go, and I will give updates at another stage. And I would just like to point out this t-shirt, which supports Lupus Victoria.